welcome back to FRANKEN-BOX, ladies and gentlemen. We're still here at this really messy workstation I got going on. I made a little bit more progress over the past few minutes. A few minutes, by that I mean a few hours. And I figured I would go ahead and see if I can get this thing booted in Windows up and running, make sure it all works before we go any further. So between last video and now, I went ahead and taken off the CPU cooler, the M9i from CryoRig, which we had on there previously. I'll be saving that for the cube upgrade, which will be happening eventually. I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon, but eventually. The thing that was a bit harder than that, though, you may notice, is that there are no longer heat sinks, aesthetic heat sinks, on one stick of RAM. It actually came off fairly quickly, fairly easily. I didn't use any heat. I just pried it a little bit. Started with my fingers, then a little bit of a torque on a screwdriver, and it came off fairly easily. So, hoping there's no damage done. I'm not exactly going to be heartbroken if that stick of RAM died, because I can always just go out and get a 16 gig kit. DDR3 is fairly cheap nowadays. DDR4 is a bit different story, but we could survive off of 4 for the time being if I absolutely had to. I just would rather not if I can. Decided to leave that one on because this is covered up anyway by the heatsink we're going to be using for the CPU. I think it'll be fine though. Like I said, it didn't even bend the PCB of that whatsoever, and these are just kind of junky, really thin, no problem getting that off. So yeah, today we're going to put on Fantex cooler and get it all rigged up with the SSD, and hopefully by the end of it I'll be able to concretely plan out the case, kind of throw some parts in, and then next time we'll be cutting up some stuff, I have a feeling. So yeah, let's get rolling. So I mostly remember how to install this thing. Fairly certain this doesn't really matter on this specific LGA socket because it's like perfectly linear. And they changed it just ever so slightly every time, so you'd have to buy new cooling equipment because that's what Intel does. I think that's it. Let's try it. Indeed. Went ahead and put some standoffs on this, so it can just stand on its own and not absolutely have to have a box. So, got that going. This thing sits like so. Not using the instructions because I've done this like twice already, and I'm mostly familiar with how this works. But that I don't remember being a problem, although it obviously is. Maybe it's the other way around. We will consult the manual here because I don't remember that being an issue. Now I remember why it's not going on there, because we need some of that. And this is the AMD hardware. Let's get the correct Intel hardware. We've got some little risers here that is kind of preventing me from setting up correctly. It seems a little... I guess it's right. Okay, now I guess I'm just going to have to push up from the bottom. Probably should have put these standoffs on after this point, but, too late now. Okay, one side down. Where it is. Completely blind, apparently. Yeah, I like this cooler a lot, though, for the money. It's a really good purchase. I think it was only like 35 bucks. All said and done, definitely spent a lot more money on crappier PC hardware before, so I'm fairly happy with it. Pretty good performance. Obviously, if you're on an overclockable K chip, probably wouldn't recommend it. Maybe one of the Ryzen 5s, it'd probably be pretty good, though there's only one mini ITX motherboard right now, and that's part of the reason I'm somewhat delaying the cube upgrade, because I'm probably going Ryzen on that unless Intel pulls something amazing and drops their upcoming CPUs by a lot. Their 6-core CPU is well over, right at double, not well over, but right at double of the equivalent on the AMD side, Will it be slightly better in gaming? Probably. Will it be slightly better at, it's, you know, multitasking, multi-threading, whatever? Yeah, probably. Is it going to be worth it for the cash? I'm going to predict no, but that's just my guess. So I'll just have to wait and see. But for now, this is really good on Intel stuff if you've already taken the Intel pricing beating. So let's try first go around here with thermal paste. Seem to remember this coming out not cooperatively at all. Come on. Yeah, this is the really thick, gooey stuff that doesn't want to spread very much. It's probably right at it or a tad more than I normally would do. If I remember correctly, mounting this isn't exactly what you would call a good time, but it beats the V8. I think everything beats the V8. That thing sucks. Works wonders once it's on there, but it definitely sucks. All big heat sinks are not really fun. Make sure we got a good, yep, I can feel it, good thermal paste application. Now, the reason this thing is not so fun is because you have to put these female screws using a screwdriver into these two holes down there. So, if I remember right, these are non-ferrous and are non-magnetic. Yep. So, a magnetic tip screwdriver doesn't do you a whole lot of good there. And you kind of just have to drop it in and hope for the best. Another part that kind of sucks is the 4-pin CPU pin connection is right under there, which was a big deal last time. It shouldn't be a big deal this time because we don't have sleeving on the cables, and I'm kind of counting on that because I really don't want to have to take this thing off to do that again. But I'm waging really hard that won't be a problem. So fingers crossed on that, but I really think it ain't. Just given the flexibility of it. See, this is just infuriating, and now I'm getting flashbacks of last time putting this on. Yeah, that was the bigger issue of it falling. And now I'm introducing air into that gap there, which is probably going to impact performance. But hey, that's probably not going to be our biggest issue. We're putting this thing in a case that's smaller than a shoebox, so whatever thermal issues this might cause I don't think it's going to be our biggest problem. I seem to recall doing this exact thing last time. It works a lot better. Really? It's already hit 75 in here? So set the AC back, a little bit of behind the scenes for you guys. The past few videos done, because have been in this place long. Set the AC back to like 75, 76, so it doesn't kick on as much. But it's warm enough out there. I'm not exactly comfortable in here, but for the sake of audio, that's what I try to do. Oh, ugh. See, the RAM stick's already in there. This one's gonna have to be a complete pain in the ass. Okay. What is that now? Oh, I see. Okay. Let's get your dirty fingerprints all over the PCB. They love that. Spread that thermal paste around. Can I get in through this way? Okay. And locking down now. Like I said, mounting this heat sink isn't exactly what I would call a good time. Once it's on, it's good. It's the thing about engineering. All the times I'm guilty of it myself. You design for how it's going to work in the end, and whatever poor bastard has to install it or maintain it, who cares? Just make sure it works. It's as tight as I can get it. We have no contact here with the stick of RAM in the first slot, and I'm guessing that's what it was designed for. No way it was designed for those kind of heat sinks. I mean, I understand I wasn't using it properly, but it was still fairly frustrating at the end of the day. So we got our 120 fan here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. I believe that's as short as we're going to get it, which looks fairly good. We got these very strange screws. They're kind of chamfered off there. Alright, we are in there. kind of halfway guessing if it would have been better to go that way, but I don't think it would reach. So, looks pretty good. I do love the look of a heatsink that is the size of the motherboard. Something about it's really cool. But that's basically the height we're going to have to deal with inside of this case. Now, because I have standoffs on this, I'm decently comfortable with going ahead. That's loud. And setting it in there just to get a first impression of how it's going to interact. Obviously, this isn't going to be perfectly level and all that, but fairly well, I would say. So the plan is to put a solid piece of sheet metal here or cut up a case, something. And I've not really figured out the arrangement yet because where I live, it's an apartment complex. I don't even have like power out near the truck where I could just, you know, cut it up on my truck bed. So I'm going to either have to have someone do it for me or find someone's garage I can borrow. It's not like I lived at my college campus. I could just go home and use my dad's stuff basically. So yeah, I'll have to make an arrangement for that, but not a huge deal. I feel like I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Let's make sure the power supply goes in once again. We also need to make sure the thickness for the graphics card is accommodated. That is the one thing that I did not measure off, and I'm thinking that we're going to have to turn this power supply vertically to accommodate for that. Wouldn't be the end of the world if we do. I said, yep, you can see height-wise that it's the CPU cooler is taller than that, so not a big deal at all. It'd be easier to mount the other way, but not a big deal. So let's go ahead and slide that in. Put you in. That is a sexy chunk right there. a lot of power density. Don't really like it just hanging there by its PCI, you know. But I don't know if we got much of a choice. No, I can prop it. There we go. A little bit of stupid support there. Let me make sure that this can be ran. So yeah, this should give you some indication of the height we're dealing with. I knew this would happen. My plan for now is to straighten this up, have it come directly out, and make basically another half to this. And if I can find another 360 shell and use that, I will totally do that. I've got an extra, but my 360 in there does work, and I'd prefer not to tear it out for that, but I'm sure I can find a junk one somewhere for a few bucks and try it out, because the top, you know, having it look the same as the bottom would be pretty sweet. I do want to cut some ventilation holes for that. This will already have some ventilation on the side there, which is good. It might even go on the other side. Yeah, it has more. That's what we'll do. We'll flip it around. Assuming that I can get the IO there. IO would be easier there for sure, but we'll see. If not, I can just butcher that side some more. Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna have to do a lot of work for a top and side panel, front panel too. So what'll end up probably happening is I'll try another 360 to see if I can get it riveted together in a way that makes sense, and I'll probably buy a side panel or piece of crap PC case as well to butcher it and make a flat mounting surface there and some surfaces for other stuff. Things we don't have right now, we got audio obviously built in on the motherboard. We don't have a power button, and that's something I'm going to have to invest in. I want a nice little clicky one, preferably LED, that looks cool and fits the kind of the overall feel of the build. The goal is to not be able to really make out what's inside. If it were me, I'd want everything black and white on the inside, but even the GPU and CPU cooler don't really match all that well in my opinion. I could put a black fan, but I like the stock one. So the more I can cover up in the inside, the better. That's my plan, especially because of that terrible cable coloring. But yeah, I think it's gonna work. Maybe easier than I thought. Once it's done, I figured there'd be more issue with the hardware side of it, but I think that's not gonna be the big deal. It's gonna be the case. So let me get this stuff unpacked, see if I can get Windows and all that up and running, test some stuff maybe, and then the hard part lies ahead. My gamble lost. So, as I remember now, it's not the cord that's the problem, it's the connector. This is legitimately too tall to go under there and seat it. It's getting stuck about that far in, and I have no more wiggle room. So guess what? That needs to come off. Didn't learn my lesson the first time, it appears. You know, when I first built this desk, I thought, let's keep this one pristine. You know, maybe buy a large mouse pad that extends across the entire way. Nah. 2 weeks, we're building another PC on it, and it's trashed. So anyway, after a lot of fast forwarding, we have the heatsink mounted correctly. Had to take it off to get the wiring done. And got the SSD out of my laptop. Everything is basically hooked up. Got a mobile keyboard and ready to try it out. So let us try it out. Okay, power button in the back. All spun up. Gimme that boot. Yay. Delete. Delete, please. Maybe it's going to go ahead and go to Windows. Whatever. Let's set this up permanently. Have some semblance of production value. Although, if you watch this channel at all, you'll know that's not the case. There is no production value. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We said screw the BIOS. We're just going to go right to here. Oh, I didn't have the keyboard turned on. That would explain a lot. That would indeed explain a lot. Look at that. Look at that. We got some documents and stuff, but it all works. Look at there. Cool beans. Alright, so we're rocking normal 1080p at this moment. I also don't have a connection to the internet right now, so I need to hook that up so we can get some drivers and install going. And you know, make sure this thing actually works before I go through the trouble of putting it in a case. Okay, I think we're connected. Let us try. I'll let you guys hear the fans in a moment, but it's actually not that bad. And considering what I plan to do with this thing, I think we're good. Indeed, that thing is whiny. That thing is near silent. You're probably going to hear some speaker static as well. But yeah, we basically wasted all of the potential of these two coolers, which at idle are basically, yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear the fan up close. That thing, though, as I imagined, is a jet engine. At idle, still quieter than the Xbox 360, though. So, I mean, you know, if you're going to spend this much money, or this little money rather, I think it's kind of expected to have to trade off something, either noise or cooling or whatever. Installing some good old NVIDIA telemetry here. I'll fix that eventually. Steam's going, and I guess we'll check back when I got something up and running. So I got my pro gamer setup here. This is what all the CSGO tournament players use. We got our Logitech combo. We got our trackpad here for really precise aiming. We got our track ball for regular movement. It's really the superior way to play. So I guess I'll mount this here so you can kind of see what we're getting. Hopefully you can make out an FPS counter. I want to be trying out Toxic in regular 1080p if I can get there. Got the driver installed, all that good stuff, so we can see some performance on this game. I can tell you off the top of my head, average well over 120 to 160 FPS on my 980 Ti at 2560 by 1080. So that's kind of what we're comparing against. That's exactly what I would compare against. Okay, come on. You can do it, buddy. You can do it. I think we are experiencing some disk issues here. It is very lag. Probably because this never installed. I clicked that. It didn't. I saw the screen. It didn't install. So yeah, I mean, if your GPU doesn't have a driver, it's not gonna work. It's just gonna chug like it did. So there's that. Got a couple other games in queue while we're at it though. So Insurgency's going, another fantastic indie game, a lot more popular than Toxic. Some Gary's Mod. Got a couple other light things I want to download eventually as well to test out, but I think these are some ones that I can actually see myself using this PC for, so we're going to try it out. Alright, so we got the driver installed. Currently rocking one of the most impressive idle temps I've ever seen on a graphics card. Obviously being so small and open air and low wattage, one would hope, but generally haven't seen those kind of temperatures since winter on my 980 Ti. Don't know if I've ever seen that low on my Ti actually. Seen it on my 970. So let's try Toxic again, see if it's going to chug. I know I don't care about workshop items, man. We'll get it later. Turn that down to 1080. Everything else will max out just because surely it'll be able to handle it. Alright, so I got the FPS counter up in the right corner. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can almost make it out. It's about 160 FPS on the menu, which doesn't mean a whole lot of anything. Apparently doesn't save your customization options across games, but that's okay. Let's try something with bots, because I feel like that's going to stress the CPU just a tad bit. I mean, not crazy, but and we'll try a medium size map. Nothing crazy yet. Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, we can get some bigger ones going. We're going to try Twin Peaks here, the biggest map in the game, and the one that tends to run the worst. It ran really bad when the map first came out, but it's been pretty good ever since. So max settings are rocking right around the 70 to very high 50s range. Looks like I got a small drop there for a second, but yeah, now we're in the 80s. Feel like as long as we stay out of some of the more dynamic parts of the map, we should be fine. 95% sure we're running on limited color space right now because for whatever reason NVIDIA defaults it to limited color and not the full color, even though, you know, we're running on a PC monitor that can absolutely handle that. And I missed. Dead. Oh, not dead. Good. Okay, now we're in a vehicle. It's good. Handling on this mouse, not ideal, to tell you the truth. Ooh, got one. So far so good though. This is the last thing I'm thinking is, man, this gaming experience sucked. I mean, I'm kind of thinking that because of the keyboard and mouse, but not because of performance whatsoever. So I think it's going to work just fine and dandy for this. Yeah, that's fairly smooth. We could crank this monitor up to 75 hertz if we wanted to, and at full ultra wide that would definitely make it a smoother experience. I don't think we're going to be able to pull it off on this graphics card though. So that does work. That's good just for shits and giggles. Let's see how much we can push on Cube, which is the easiest map in the game to run because it is literally 4 walls and a little bit of action in the center. So we're running in the 150 area in this part, and this map I would push 240 consistently, 240 plus. I think the game caps at 242 on my 980 Ti. So yeah, I can't say I'm shocked to see this. So one map runs about half as good or less than this one, which when you look at it kind of makes sense. But this is around this frame rate, maybe in the 100 FPS area is something I would expect to see in games like CSGO, maybe even higher in other esports titles if people still play those. It's funny, the kind of gaming I'm into, I never hear people talk about it, so I assume it's still big among certain crowds. For me and my friends, not the case, but if you're into that, cool. But yeah, this is phenomenal, a phenomenal playing experience, and the computer, for better or for worse, is no louder than it was at idle, because the PSUs you can hear now that the AC's kicked off, yeah, that is basically the same volume, because I feel like there's just a static fan after a certain load on the power supply, which is not a terrible thing. Let me undock the camera here so you guys can hear exactly what's going on. Not very loud. That's pretty loud. Still, like I said, it's about what I would expect out of a 360. Actually, it's less than what a 360 would put off in terms of noise. So, you can't have it all, at least for the cost I'm going for. More importantly, the next thing that would be most comparable in that price range would be a lower performance laptop. And my laptop, which had a GT 635M, older, it's older model laptops from about 2012, could run stuff like this decently. I mean, not great. We're talking below 1080p if you want to get 60 FPS, but it could run stuff. It would be louder than that, maybe a bit less whiny, but it was volume-wise louder. I'd have to hear it again to tell you if it was more annoying or not, but to me, it's a fair enough trade-off. I'd be wearing headphones or something along those lines anyway. So far, so good. I have no complaints about the, headshot, nice, performance of this. Plug in a decently affordable keyboard and mouse solution. This thing will be a fine travel companion. All right, now I'm just playing Toxic. That's a good sign. That's a good sign when I'm in the groove now and I can just get into it. I kind of miss trackball mice for FPSs. I mean, I'm a lot better with regular ones, obviously, but there's something intuitive about. It's almost like a thumbstick action, but it's linear instead of acceleration. Really cool. All right, let's get a melee kill. We'll call it a day. Oh, nope. Guess not. Well, it works, which is grand. Works very well for what I want. Let's see what we're rocking temperature-wise. Not even 60. Not even 60 degrees Celsius. Let's get some more of these metrics here. 100% GPU usage, basically. We've got, where's clock speed? Core clock. A core clock of 1700 megahertz, which is alarming for me to see because my 980 Ti only gets about in the 1300, I think that's why I got capped to 1300 megahertz on the OC. On a reference model, that's I could push it to 1400, but it gets pretty hot and loud. That's pretty good. And of course, Maxwell Pascal architecture is very different as far as clock speeds go. Pascal's a lot slower clock than Maxwell, but holding 1700 plus, no problems. So, I'd say that is fairly impressive, especially at the volume. And we shot up to 3.5 gigs of VRAM used immediately, but that's one of those things that doesn't mean a whole lot because it's going to use as much as it can get. I'm sorry, no, that was, no, what am I looking at here? Memory usage. Why does it say max underneath it if temp limit? Oh, okay. Yeah, now see, I confused myself. Yeah, so as far as memory goes, that's what we are pushing. But like I said, that doesn't mean a whole lot for the frame buffer because it's just going to use as much as it can get. Running the same settings, it would probably go up to like 5 on my 980 Ti. So I have no doubt that this is more than capable of running the other stuff we're looking at. So not too worried about it. Let's exit it out. It should drop off immediately on core clock. As it is. Good stuff. So we got a good card, we got a good system, RAM works, everything works. Now we just got to get a case that works. So hopefully next time we'll cut to me with some more parts for the case. Yay!